Hi friends, welcome back for technical analysis for Tezos, and let's take a look at the price action over here, and we're going to look at it versus Bitcoin and versus the dollar coin. Okay, so on here you'll notice that there's no white dots, there's only the red dots, and instead of having some white dots on, and that comes down to the fact that I have changed these numbers to reflect the traditional market style sort of setup and include the weekends as part of the calculation in terms of the golden cross. Now, if you're confused about what I'm saying there, which is very confusing, so you ought to be, please go ahead and watch the Bitcoin video today where I explain that in full, and you can look at that in a lot more detail. Anyway, what are we looking at in terms of this prices? Well, will we get a turnaround here at the 786? We've spoken about this so many times. You know, we've got this zone in and around the 2,800 area down to this 2,700 area or whatever, and we don't want to see the prices drop down below 2,615, but we're kind of at the mercy of the Bitcoin prices themselves and how they operate. If the Bitcoin prices get a correction towards the downside, then we could very much be back in the game in terms of this cup and handle concept that we've been looking at recently in terms of the 24-hour time frame here. But if we don't see that happen, then we don't see that happen. 2-day time frame, let's see where the 50's coming in at. 50's coming in at right at here on the 2-day time frame. 50 simple's coming in, which is equivalent obviously of the 100 simple moving average on the but of course this isn't 50. This isn't 50. I'm using that wrongly or whatever. This is 70 that I've got, so this is equivalent of the 140, and we normally have the 144 EMA on, so you know the 144, if I were to turn that back on, it'd be coming in at that line there as well. So you know that then becomes our Alamo. Have I been saying that recently? By the way, if you wonder what Alamo is, it's where Americans they had this big battle there and they lost. They lost, but it was where they said, look, this is our line in the sand. Yeah, so we're looking to see if that turns around, but we're at the mercy of the Bitcoin prices overall in sense of that. So let's look at the dollar prices on this thing instead. And 270 at the minute is kind of potentially going to be operating as a sort of support area for us. What do we have in here? If we go back down to the 24-hour time frame instead, it's easier to see. We've got this. You remember when we were talking about this at the time, how it was just doji land. It was the land of the dojis. This period here was just super doji-tastic in the 24-hour time frame, you know, and there's a lot of sort of conflict in the price action. We've got this node on the VPVR as well there, so you know we're in at this area just now, and we're kind of, you know, we're kind of asking questions about this. If we go down to the 4-hour time frame, we can maybe see if there's a trend. No, there isn't. You can see here that this is in fact higher than this low, and these highs are higher than that there. So really what we're doing is consolidating right now in terms of the dollar prices. Not that great a surprise given overall. You know, do you want to say that this is a descending triangle? Do you want to do it like that? Do you want to have it so that it's more of a symmetrical triangle? It's really more or less up to you how you do it. Do you want to put it on log as well so that you get more? You can get even more like a symmetrical triangle. There you go. You know, that's like if you want to look at that at the minute, we could potentially be looking at a measured move then off the back of this sort of a thing, perhaps, which could take us, if we go down towards our downward side target 230, and if we go up towards our upward side targets of say 320, and everything in between time is going to be, you know, is going to be we will have to wait until this consolidation phase wraps itself, or you know, comes to an end. Could it be coming to an end fairly soon? Well, I've drawn them in very, very tight, just kind of, you know, for the crack. Could we instead be looking at having a little bit more room? Sure, we could, but when do I expect a breakout of this thing? Fairly soon. Do I ever believe in full measured moves? I mean, I believe in them, but I don't talk about them that way. I think that that's really bad for new traders and experienced traders to have that subjective question in there, you know, because the textbooks will tell you this allows you to remain objective, but pardon me, drawing that in yourself, having that as an opinion, and then saying this reminds me to remain subjective is an entirely subjective thing to say. So don't get confused. That means like, you know, you're better off looking towards horizontal levels along the way, and 292 will be your first big question mark on the way up should we get out of this area, and perhaps where we could see some price action happen at. Of course we could go past that, and if we do, there's very little above us. This entire node here on the VPVR, as you see, is right in where the price action is. Break up above it, and we very much could get that full measured move up there towards this area, which is where that 236 Fibonacci is on the all-time highs and lows, and we want to see us going above that there. That kind of sums it all up. But I'm going to actually just go over to the HIP BTC prices because we have a lot of history here in terms of the prices. Now, please, like I say, watch the Bitcoin video where I explain why I changed these from being 50 and 200 to 70 and 280. I explain that in fairly rigorously. I'll just stick these back on 50 so you can see the contrast and 200, and talk about golden crosses for a second and say, oh, look at this, you know, we're 200 all the way up here, we're in golden cross conditions, and it's all whatever, and this is running along the median line of this channel, blah 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 blah, as we know. But also at the minute I'm kind of curious as at least over the next wee while, I think I'm going to be curious about this instead, where we see that the golden cross actually happened over here on the 16th of April. It's not dramatically different, haven't changed those two over, which is actually good to see in my opinion, instead of having had a series of false signals. That's one of the benefits, I suppose, of Tezos as well, that there's not been all these false signals in there. We are looking at this area here and saying, is this potentially a head and shoulders? If we break down below 258, then I think that we could have a measured move coming all the way down to where I just have this new, I'm calling it the 50 or the 200 simple, but it's the 280 because I'm including weekends. Look at the Bitcoin video for more explanation about why I'm doing that. Nobody else does it in the world. Crypto, I've never seen anybody else talk about it ever. I'm the only person, I've talked about it in the past, I'm the only person I've ever seen it. I've googled it to try and find out about it, but I do not doubt for a second that somebody else has said it. I've never seen or anything like that. Let me know if you've seen any discussions about it. It might be completely spurious and a bad idea to do this, it might be, so if you've got that opinion, let me know. But I'm interested nevertheless, and this is the price action that I'm curious at the minute. 258 needs to hold for me, and 298, you know, $3 needs to be broken in terms of our ups and downsides. And right now, where we have the level to be really concerned about or whatever is 272, as we've known about for the longest time in terms of our most closest pivot point right for us right now. That's going to sum us up for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. I know I didn't look at divergence or anything else. We're consolidating here in the dollar prices, and the Bitcoin ones are at the mercy of the Bitcoin prices themselves, I think, at the minute, with the sheer volume and price action that's going on there versus the, you know, whatever. You let me know as well what your opinion is about that. I'm interested. Join the Discord, share this video with a friend if you've got one that you think would like it. You can clearly see that that everything here is tightening up, and I expect in terms of this consolidation to break out. By the way, this is consolidation again, just like we said on the other chart. I expect this to finish its sort of thinking about things in the next couple of days anyway, so you know, it should resolve itself soon. We'll get some sort of idea about what's going on. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you next time. Oh, I'm thirsty.